Welcome to another edition of Cheers to Careers. I'm Steve Ridinghouse, the Career Outreach Coordinator at the School of Journalism and Mass Communications at KU. Hello, we are back for the 104th episode of Cheers to Careers. I'm Steve Ridinghouse, the Career Outreach Coordinator for the KU School of Journalism and Mass Communications. Today we are joined by J School alum Jazmine Polk. She's the Associate Attorney for Ahlers and Cooney. Welcome, Jazmine.
Hi, so happy to be here.
So I got to know you. I think your senior year was my first year here at KU, and I know you did a lot with magazines, and now you're an attorney. So was that always part of the plan, or how did this come about?
I'm not even sure how it happened. I was working at Health Magazine in New York right after graduation from KU. And it was around the time when Health Magazine was owned by Time Inc. And it was during the sale to Meredith. And there was a lot of uncertainty and a lot of layoffs. And I just was also kind of homesick and not really liking living in New York. I'm kind of a Midwest homebody, so I wanted to move back home. And in moving back home, looking for local journalism positions. So I was applying at magazines, I was applying at radios and TV, and also my parents are lawyers. Well, my dad is a judge. My mom was a corporate attorney. So they met in law school. And so they were always telling me, you can always go to law school because I was the studious child. So they were always saying, she's going to be our lawyer. So in my transition, I did start applying to law schools while I was applying for journalism jobs. And it just so happened that law school worked out and I got some scholarships. And it just felt like I was kind of linked up, like something was pushing me towards law school, not just my parents, but so that's just kind of how it all started. It was not my plan, but it just happened.
I know over the 100 plus episodes of the podcast that I've done, I think I've talked to like 4 or 5 former journalists turned attorneys, and it seems like it's been a pretty smooth transition. Was it a smooth transition for you? I mean, did you have some transferable skills?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, all I do is research and write, and that was all I was doing at Health Magazine. It just looking into case law, looking into kind of policies and writing it into a memo for a client, or even if I'm writing a brief to the court. And some of the skills as far as editing and grammar, I still use just because, you want something clean to be sent to clients in the court. I also use my interviewing skills. So in my position now, I do investigations for students and employees, and Title IX investigations that involve me interviewing people. And so I always laugh because when I'm heading to the interviews, I kind of draft up my notes and my questions just like I did when I was at KU, or just like I did at Health Magazine. So it's funny. And while I'm interviewing, it kind of takes me back and I enjoy it. And I enjoy drafting an investigation report. It reminds me of the stories I used to write. So a lot of transferable skills. It's kind of surprising. You don't really expect that, but I've seen a lot of journalists turn to attorneys. So it does happen. It is common. I also still have interactions with attorneys in my job, or not attorneys, sorry, with journalists in my job. I draft media statements to newspapers, and I also work on FOIA requests. So if I get a request for information about one of my clients from the media. So I still have some connection to journalism.
So are they always impressed when you turn that stuff in? It's like, hey, how'd you know how to do that?
Yeah, like my lead and everything is perfectly written. But yeah, I'm sure they wonder. It's like, she must know something about journalism. But yeah, no, I sometimes when I am talking to them, I say, oh, I went to journalism school, and it's kind of a fun interaction. But yes.
So your law specialty, you're kind of in like education, Title IX, and
Yes.
like student issues?
Yes, so I represent K-12 school districts and higher ed colleges, and I help with their student issues, employment, If a student is being disciplined, if an employee needs accommodations, I do contracts, I do kind of litigation. So any tort, if a student gets hurt on district property. So I kind of do all things for schools. So I really love this area. And yeah, it does allow me to still connect with the media and use my journalism skills.
So what are your fondest KU memories? I know, like, I think you did some work with E-News and her campus. I mean, does it seem like it was that long ago that you were doing that kind of work at KU?
Oh,
Nope.
can you repeat that? I think I,
Oh, lost you for a second.
yes.
What are some of your fondest KU memories? I know you did some work with like KU E-News and her campus. I mean, does it seem like it was 10 years
Yes.
ago that you've been doing that?
I know it just I basically did everything there is to offer at KU. I wrote some for the Kansan. I think I wrote for like the Style on the Hill magazine, her campus. I was doing a sports blog, Rock Chalk blog at one point. I tried everything. But my favorite memory is KUE News. That is my baby. I'm sure Cal Butcher remembers.
Same Kardashian drama.
Same hot tea. This time, a new day.
I was looking for something entertainment based because I love celebrity news, I love celebrity gossip, and there was nothing on the list. And so I went to Cal and I said, "Can I start this show?" And he was saying, "People have tried it before, not really a lot of interest there, but if you can get people to show up, sure." And so I remember putting up a sign for people if they were interested, and we had the first meeting, and I didn't know if anyone would show up, and there was about 5 or 6 people. And we kept it going for 2 years. And yeah, we every week we had one show and we talked about celebrity news and also we talked to local musicians. I remember a dancer was on at one point. I would make artists freestyle and I would also go out into the hallways of the union and just ask questions about celebrities and music to students walking by. So that is definitely my favorite memory.
What do you think kept it going for 2 years? I mean, what made it work so well for that long?
I think just the cast and the crew that I was able to get to buy into the show. Jackson Kurtz specifically.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've met with him. Me and
Jackson.
yeah, we kept it going, and I think a lot of my friends. I was always kind of publicizing it and pushing it on social media and getting people to. I think just having the guests also helped, like having some of the artists who would also push it out to people, and so we were able to keep it going. And yeah, I'm very proud of that.
And I know you also had that prestigious magazine internship, I think, with the Associate Society of Magazine Editors in New
Yes.
York. So is
Yes.
that where you did some work with People Magazine there too, right?
Yeah, that's how I got to people through ASME. So how that came about is Carol Holstead was my professor in a magazine class, and I had turned in some of my writing, and she said to me, "Have you should apply for ASME?" And I didn't know what it was. I knew it wasn't a magazine internship program in New York for a summer, and I applied, and I wasn't really expecting to get it. And when I did, I asked to be placed at People Magazine, and that was such a fun experience. I was on the red carpets. I was able to interview celebrities, kind of using my KUE News skills there. And I learned so much, and I still keep in touch with some of my ASME roommates who are now kind of editors at all the magazines in New York. So ASME just was a real foundational experience for me, not just as a journalist, but just as a person being in New York for the first time. And yeah, that's how I got to people. Yep.
So that's quite the leap, KUE News to People. I mean, that just seems like a big leap.
Yes, yes. But it just made sense, right? Because that's what I was interested in. And I got to the red carpets. So it was just a dream come true.
And so what were your career aspirations? I mean, were you kind of magazine focused early on or what?
Yes, I was interested in TV. I was interested in magazines, anything entertainment. I loved reading 17 magazine growing up. I loved watching the actual E! News show. So I just wanted to be anywhere where music and fashion and art were. And that's kind of where I wanted to be in my career. So when I got to health, I got there through an ASME connection, actually. And it was just so I could get back to People magazine, through because Health magazine and People magazine were in the same building. So I got into the door at Health. That's where I was writing about women's health and diet and fitness, not so much entertainment, but there were some similarities. But that was my goal to get to People. But then that's when, that sale took place, and I did not really enjoy living in New York full time. So that's kind of when, the transition happened where I was kind of lost for a little bit. What do I do now that, something isn't working out? And that's kind of how law school came up, at my house, and I just was led to law school. So yeah.
Because you went to law school at Drake, right?
Yes, Drake University. Yep.
And then you also you taught the 24, 25. What was that experience like being an adjunct professor in law school?
Yeah, that was so interesting. So I used to be a teacher's assistant in law school at Drake. And so I was working closely with the legal writing professors. And then just 2 or 3 years out of law school, I got asked to teach a class of legal writing, which was such an honor, especially being a young attorney. And it was so fun. I was teaching first year law students. So they were always engaged and asking questions and so interested. And I enjoyed going in every week and teaching them. The hard part was grading because I wanted everyone to do well. That was tough. And it was also tough to balance my full attorney schedule and being a teacher because they have questions, we have conferences. And so I ended up only doing that for 1 year, but I would want to go back later on in my career to adjunct. Yes.
I know when I taught my first class, I think spring of 2019, I had to work on my pacing. Was that an issue for you? Like making the most of your time? Because it seemed like I was always I was ready for the students to engage in conversation, but sometimes that didn't happen. It's like, wow, this class is going to end pretty early. How was your pacing for the class?
It was actually kind of the opposite for me because they were so excited to be there. Because again, law students, a lot of these students dreamed of being lawyers. So they were always asking questions. But I would almost run out of time in class and wish we had more time each week. It was harder to get them to kind of speak about their own papers or their own experiences. Everyone, was kind of nervous, but I had a lot of participation. And it was hard for me to learn the skill of planning out a class. I have an hour and 15 minutes. What do I do? How do I start? What do the PowerPoints look like? So that was a bit of a learning curve for me.
And I think you also, on your LinkedIn profile, you spent some time as a business development support specialist at KK Wind Solutions.
Yeah, very random.
How did that kind of fit in here? That just seemed like out of law, journalism. Where did that fit in?
Yeah, the KK Wind Solutions is actually a windmill company that is by a family friend. And so how I got there was when I had moved back from New York and I was living in Omaha while still looking for journalism jobs, while still applying at law schools, taking the LSAT. That was kind of the job to just get me through. I had to pay my student loans off and I just needed money while I was searching for my next step. So that was kind of just a transition job. I was just an admin, kind of an assistant for them, working on like billing and invoices. I wasn't doing any windmill activities, but yeah, so that's something I would say to current, students is there might be a time period where you do just need to have money coming in. You might need to get a job while you're finding your dream job, while you're finding where you want to be.
And that kind of leads me to my last question. What advice do you have to the current Jayhawks that might want to do what you do? I mean, either starting in journalism and going to law or pursuing law from the start. I mean, what advice do you have for the class of 26?
If you are interested in law school, I would say your grades in undergrad do matter, just because your grades and your LSAT score can get you scholarships and get you in the schools that you want. And I would also say start studying for the LSAT. I know a lot of schools have some free programs. I would say get a head start on that. And also, if you can get involved in any of the kind of law society programs at KU, or if there's any criminal justice program or class, just so you can start getting exposure. If you could intern at a law firm or just shadow an attorney for a day, that would be helpful. And also your kind of reputation and how you are seen by professors and your peers matter, because Carol Holstead, who was my magazine professor, wrote my entry kind of reference letter for law schools. So I went back to her even like 5 years after undergrad, and she remembered me and was able to write that reference letter that got me into law school. So start building those connections is what I would say. And I would also say that being a lawyer is hard. So it's a very different field. It's not a 9 to 5. It's a lot of high stress, a lot of hours. It's also rewarding, especially if you like to do courtroom. So I would say try everything, and try to find where you fit best. And if you and you can always go back to journalism. That's kind of what I tell myself too. It's like you can always go back, or you could even represent the media companies. So there's always options. The legal field is broad. You can be anywhere you want to be and use these skills that you're getting at KU. So that would be my advice.
Awesome. Well said, Jazmine. Okay. So it's time for Fast Five. I know you talk about you always had an interest in like entertainment, art, music. So what was your dream job? I mean, what was like that dream job title or the place you always wanted to work?
My dream job, place I always wanted to work. That would probably be at the actual or not KU News, the actual E-News. That
Okay.
was I don't know if it's still on air now, but E-News, the TV
Right.
broadcast, that was my dream job.
So speaking of TV, what do you feel either past or present is the most realistic law show on TV?
Oh, it is not Suits. For those who like Mike Ross in Suits, that is not realistic. I wish it was. I wish I was Mike Ross and can just fix every problem because I'm a genius. I would say the most realistic law show.
Or maybe your favorite. Maybe your favorite law show.
My favorite law show. I did like, there is a show called Reasonable Doubt on Hulu. That's an interesting one. Even just Law and Order, that can get look realistic. I hear there's a new show with Kim Kardashian called All's Fair, a new lawyer show. I'm interested in seeing what that's about. I know that she went to law school. That would be my answers.
And on your social media profile, it seems like you're a big Beyonce fan. I think I heard you might have been to 9 concerts.
Yes.
So any scoop on what the theme of her next tour will be? What's Beyonce's next tour theme going to focus on?
No,
Any scoop?
as the president of the Beehive, I would probably say we are looking towards a rock feel because we did the disco dance, we've done the country. I think we're heading to a rock album. So looking forward to that.
How'd you become president? Did you get elected, or are you still?
I mean, me and Beyonce are friends in my head, and my best friends in my head. So that I kind of self-proclaimed the title.
What was your favorite class at KU?
Favorite class at KU. I think it was a hip hop class in the theater building. I enjoyed that when I forgot the professor's name. But for journalism, I would say the magazine class with Carol Holstead, just because that's kind of what got my start in journalism, and getting published in the KU magazine was so an honor. And I still kind of look back at some of my articles in that magazine. So that was probably my favorite.
And last of the Fast Five, which actress plays Jazmine Polk in the Jazmine Polk story?
Oh, wow. That is a good question. So I would say um, probably Kiki Palmer, um, maybe Zendaya, but she's busy.
Zendaya.
She's busy, but yeah, I would go with either one of them.
Wow, high bar there.
Yeah.
Hey, Jazmine, I appreciate you taking some time with us and talking about your journalism start and then also your law career. And I always like to close with the cheers. And I think you have a big KU.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
It's going to take up the whole screen.
My
Hey,
coffee.
cheers.
Yep.
Hey, cheers, Jazmine. I appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thanks.